Hello, welcome to my channel Programming in C with RSK, and I am your host Rajendra Kulkarni. In this video we are going to see how function returns multiple values of the same data type, and we will also see how the function returns multiple values of multiple data types using array of pointers and array of void pointers. Friends, this is the 35th or 36th video I am uploading. Please like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel Programming in C with RSK. So let's start with today's video. Now let us see in this slide how array of pointers are declared and how they are assigned with pointers to the arrays. We are in this program, three arrays are declared and initialized: array AA, BB and CC, all of type int. Then we have declared an array of pointers by using the notation int star ptr. Then a subscript notation is equal to AA, BB, CC separated by commas. So in this statement what happens is addresses of these three arrays are assigned to individual array elements of ptr array. So ptr 0 will contain the address of A, ptr subscript 1 will contain the address of BB, and ptr subscript 2 will contain the address of CC. This printf statement, we simply take out the addresses of all these four arrays, and in this second printf statement we are taking out the elements, the values stored in the elements of ptr using subscript notation ptr subscript 0, ptr subscript 1 and ptr subscript 2. Then we run a loop, and through this loop we access and display the addresses of elements of AA and the values stored in the elements of AA using the printf function. How we take out the address of elements AA? ptr 0 contains the base address of AA. So when I is equal to 0, this statement ptr subscript 0 plus I will give us the value stored in the array ptr's 0th element, which happens to be the base address of array int array AA. As loop causes incrementation of I, when I is equal to 1, what we get is AA arrays element number 1 address, or the first element's address or element number 1's address, and by using the star notation or indirection notation or value at address operator star, we get the value stored at the address of ptr 0, then ptr 0 plus 1, then ptr 0 plus 2 up till ptr 0 plus 4. Similarly, we take out the values of the elements of BB and addresses of elements of BB using the pointer arrays PTR subscript 1 element, or the first element, or the element number 1 of the PTR array, and same for CC using PTR second or PTR's third element or element number 2 of the PTR array. What we get from this program? We get that address of A is 65516, address of BB array is 65506, address of CC array is 65496, and the address of PTR array 65490. So location 65490 contains the address of the 0th element of array CC 65496. Then at the location 65492, which is actually a location identified as PTR subscript 1, contains the address of BB array, and 65494, which is the location identified as PTR subscript 2, contains the address of 65516, which is the address of AA array. Then address of elements of AA, BB and CC we are displaying using the for loop. So 65496 is pointing towards the 0th element of array CC, which is actually pointing to the address of which is pointing to the value stored at AA's 0th element, which is 6. Sorry, CC's 0th element, which is 6. Then CC subscript 1 has the value stored as 7, and this 7 is stored in the address at the location 65498. In this way, we can find out how the memory is used for storing the PTR array, for storing the CC array, for BB array, and for AA array. So in this slide, what we are going to see is how function returns the array of pointers. We know that a function can return only one value. If it returns a variable of type int or float or char, it will return only one value. If it returns an array, then whatever is the number of elements of that array will be available to the main as the array's pointer is returned, and through that pointer we can access the value stored in that array. So we can say that the function which returns an array will return the values equal to its dimensions. If we return an array of pointers, then each element of that array is a pointer to some other array. If we return 10 such pointers using array of pointers, returning array of pointers which contain 10 elements or 10 pointers pointing towards 10 different arrays, then what we have achieved is returning huge number of values of from the function. How we return the array of pointers, that we will see in this program. We have declared a function float star star fun into the bracket int star. So this prototype tells us that the function will be returning a pointer to a pointer of data type float, and to this function we are going to pass a pointer of type int. Now we have declared a float star star ptr as a pointer to a pointer. Then there is an array named angle underscore d having dimensions 5 and assigned with 5 values 15, 30, 45, 60 and 75. Actually what this function we are doing, we are sending or we are passing an array of angles expressed in degrees, and the function will be returning us the sine, cosine and tan of these 5 angles, which will be available as a pointer to an array of pointer which we are collecting in ptr. So ptr is equal to fun and into the bracket angle underscore d. This is the call to the function. We are passing the address the address of this array angles underscore d to this function. When function returns, it returns the pointer to an array of pointers, and through these printf statements we will be displaying the values returned by the function using the pointer it has returned. We will see how this works after we see the function definition. So float star star fun into the bracket int star ang is the int pointer named ang, and what the address of the array angles underscore d is being passed to this function, and this ang pointer will collect that address. Then we have declared 4 static arrays. The first float array is a array of pointers. Static float star a dimensions 3. So a is a float pointer array having dimension 3. Then we are declaring 3 arrays s, c and t, all these float arrays with dimension 5, and all these 4 arrays has been declared as static arrays. Why static? Because these arrays will contain the lot of data or a lot of values that have been created by the function fun. These values we want back into the main, but when the function returns, the normal variables, all general variables will die. Static variables have a life that will be up to the end of or termination of main. So even though we return, this function returns the required value to the calling function, the static variables of that function will be alive, will be available. Now in this for loop, what we are doing is we are assigning the arrays S, C and T with sign of the angles contained in angles underscore D array of main, cosine and tan of the angles. What this SI is equal to sine of into the bracket ANGI into M underscore pi by 180. What M underscore pi by 180 doing here? This is causing the angles which are expressed in degrees in the array angle underscore D is being converted to its equivalent radians, because all the trigonometric functions which are declared in the mat.h file requires the angles in radians, not in degrees. Then through this printf statement, we are simply displaying the addresses of S, C and T arrays. These three statements are assignment statements. S address of array S is assigned to the 0th element of array A. Assign the address of C is assigned to the element A, first element or the element number 1 of array A. Address of T is assigned to element number 2 of the array A. Then through these statements we are displaying the values of A0, A1 and A2. What A0, A1 and A2 contains? The addresses of arrays S, C and T. And then we are returning pointer of array A to the calling function. In calling function, that pointer to array of pointers A is collected by the pointer variable ptr, and through this pointer variable ptr we are accessing the values stored in arrays S, C and T. So this printf statement, angles in degrees is equal to, and the for loop, first for loop, it simply displays the angles or the contents of array angle underscore D. This printf statement, printf %f star of into the bracket star into the bracket ptr plus 0 plus I. Through this statement, what we are doing is we are taking out the values stored in addresses stored in ptr, which is 0th element of array A. So this statement star ptr plus 0 or ptr plus 0, it points to 0th element of the array A, and star of ptr plus 0 will give us the content of the 0th element of the array A, which is the base address of S or array S, and this star will take out the value stored at that address, that is the value stored at the 0th element of the array S. When I is equal to 0, this is pointing towards the 0th element of the array S. When I is equal to 1, this star ptr plus 0 plus I starts pointing towards the element for number 1 of the array S. As I becomes 2, it starts pointing to third element of the array S. In this way, what we are doing here is we are accessing the values of arrays S in this printf statement and in this for loop. In this for loop, we are taking out the values stored in the array C, which is a value of cosine of the angles, and in this for loop we are getting the value stored in the array T, which is the tan of the angles of 15, 30, 45, 60 and 75. So what we have achieved by doing this is we have returned 15 values from the function by simply using array of pointers and sending that address of the array of pointers to the calling function. How we have accessed the values and what is the output of the program, that we can see here. Various statements, printf statements are giving us these outputs. Address of S is 186, address of C is 206, address of T is 226. We want the function to return these three addresses to the calling function, so that the calling function can access the value stored in these array S, C and T by various printf statements. What we are getting is the angle in degrees 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, the values of sine of these angles, the values of cos of these angles, the values of tan of these angles. All these arrays are declared as static, so that their life is till termination of main. Arrays S, C and T are assigned with, please read this as T, not M, sorry for that. Arrays S, C and T are assigned with sine, cosine and tan values evaluated in the for loop through the functions of sine, cosine and tan, which are declared and about the information about which is in the file math.h, which we have included in our program. Array A is declared as array of pointers. Address of A0 or the 0th element of the pointers array is 180. The address of element number 1 of the array of pointers is 182, and address of third element of the array, or the array element number 2 of the array of pointers is 184. A0 contains 186, which is the address of array S. A1 contains 206, which is the address of array C, and A2 contains the value 226, which is the address of array T. Return the address of array A, which is 180. In main, pointer to the pointer star ptr star ptr collect the return values, which is addresses of 180. ptr point to the address of array in which addresses of the three float arrays S, C and T are available. Now let us see how these all arrays S, C and T and array A are stored in the memory. This is the conceptual view. Location 65524 is the location of PTR, which is a pointer to a pointer, and at that location the value stored is 180, which is the address of the base element of or the base address of array A. A is a array of pointers. So at 180, A0 is the element. The address of element A0 is 180. The address of element A subscript 1 is 182, and the address of element A subscript 2 is 184. In 180 location, the value stored is 186. In 182 location, which is the address of A1, A subscript 1, the value stored is 206, and at location 184, the value stored is 226, and 184 is the address of element number third element of pointer array A. What 186 points to? It points to the address of array S, its 0th element. At location 206, it is the base address of array C, and at location 226 is the address of base element or the base address of array T, or the addresses of 0th element of these arrays. So 186 is the base address of S, and that address is stored in A0, which itself is located at address 180. Now how we have been able to extract or access the values of the arrays in the function through a pointer. That pointer points to array of pointers. When we take out the values, we use star into the bracket star into the bracket ptr plus 0 bracket complete plus I and then the closing brackets. This ptr plus 0 points to base address of array A, which is 180. Star ptr plus 0 yields the value stored in 180, which is 186. What this 186 is? It is the base address of array S. So star of 186 plus I will be pointing or will be giving us the value stored at the address of 186, starting with 186, and as the every iteration I increment by 1, so in every iteration we start getting the value stored at addresses 186, then 190, then 194, then 198, and then 202. These are the addresses of array S, elements of array S. In this way, by using the pointer to an array of pointer, we have been able to return 15 values from the function. What we see in the earlier program, we returned array of float pointers. So we could return the values of type float through the array of float pointers. Now there is another array called array of void pointers, and by returning the pointer to array of void pointers from the function, we can return the values of type int, float and char together in one array. How that is done, that let us see. A program where we have declared a function fun through this prototype void star fun into the bracket char star comma int star comma float star. So what in effect this function is will be doing, it will be accepting 3 pointers, one of type char, one of type int and one of type float, and this function fun will be returning pointer to a pointer. 3 arrays declared, char str and assigned with my program value or the characters, int IARR assigned with 5 int constants, float FARR assigned with 5 float constants. Then we declare a pointer to a pointer of data type void and named V. V is a pointer to a pointer of type void. Then we call the function V is equal to fun into the bracket str comma IARR comma FARR. So what effectively we are doing here is we are passing the addresses of these 3 arrays to the function, and this V will be collecting the pointer to a pointer returned by the function fun. Then these three printf statements, we are accessing the values of char, int and float using the pointer v. How this is working, that we will see later on. First we will see how the function is defined. So in function fun, char star a collects the address of array str of the main, int star b collects the address of IARR array of the main, and float star c collects the address of the float array FARR of the main. Then we had declared 4 static variables. One is an array of char named str, which is a static char str and dimension 10. Then a variable ia, which is again declared as a static int ia. Then third variable that we are declaring is static float fa, and fourth variable is static void star v dimensions 3. V is a array of pointers of type void and having dimension 3. In the for loop, first for loop, what we are doing is we are assigning the int variable ia with the summation of elements of an array pointed to by b, which is actually pointing to 0th element of the IARR array of the main. So on termination of loop, IA will be containing the sum of all the elements of array IARR. Similarly, on termination of the loop, this loop, second for loop, fa is a float variable which will be containing summation of elements of array pointed to by c, pointer c, which is pointing towards the array FARR of main. Then we, in the str array of function, we are copying the value received and collected into the char star a variable. What this actually receives is the address of str array, and this strcpy function, which is declared in string.h file which we have included in our program, copies the array, the string represented by a into a string str. In these three statements, what we are doing is we are assigning the addresses of the str, ia and fa to the elements of v0, v1 and elements of array v. When we are assigning the addresses, to a void array, the addresses of those void the elements of that array will simply contain the addresses, but it will not know what kind of data or what kind of data type those addresses are pointing to. Then we return the array V through this return statement. So we return V causes address of 0th element of array V to be returned and collected in pointer V in the main. Now what that pointer points to? It points to 3 variables of the function. By the printf %s char star v0, what we are doing? The address contained in the element number 0 of array V, which is declared in the function, that we are typecasting to a char star pointer, char pointer by this statement char star, and that %s printf %s will cause the contents of the array pointed to by the address in the 0th element of array V. See, this V is the array V of function. So V0 will contain the address of str, but that address is a void address, as we are declared it is a void array, a void star array, that has to be converted into that has to be typecasted into a char pointer. That is what we are doing here, char star V and into the subscript 0. Then star of int star V subscript 1, what it is doing is the address contained in V1. V1 is the element number 1 of array V that contains a address, but what address it, what data type that address is pointing to is not known. So that from void we typecast it into int, and this star value at address operator dereferences that pointer and gives us the value stored or pointed to by that pointer. Similarly, here the pointer in V subscript 2 is being typecasted to a float pointer and then dereferenced using this star operator. So what output we get? First printf gives us my program, which is actually a value stored in str array of function fun. 15 is the value that will be stored in IA, which is actually a summation of all the values stored in IARR array, and 16.5 is the summation of elements of FARR array returned by the function. So in this way we are able to return values of type int, char and float using a single array of void pointers. Thank you for watching. Please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Programming in C with RSK. I have uploaded more than 35 videos explaining various features of C through 3 or 4 programs in each uh, video, and the theory. Topics covered are constants and variables, if else, switch, loops, pointers, function, arrays, and some more topics. My upcoming videos are these: preprocessor commands, files in C, storage classes, structures, strings, 2D and 3D arrays, and a few more topics which I will be covering. So please visit my channel. Thank you very much for watching.